Hello everyone and welcome back to PÖFF TV. My name is Päike Triinu Tamm and I am very happy to welcome you all here right in the heart of Black Nights Film Festival 2024. Today we are going to talk about a film called A Yard of Jackals, and for that I have here in the studio with me the director Diego Figueroa and also an actress from the film, Blanca Lewin. So let's give them both a warm welcome. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Did I pronounce the names like almost correctly?
Yes.
Almost.
Okay. Okay. I mean, it's hard for me. We have questions from, I don't know, South Korea and everywhere, so it's a struggle, but I'm happy you made it here. How are you today?
We're good.
I'm amazing. Yesterday we showed the film for the first time, and it was an incredible experience. So I'm very happy to be here.
Okay, is it your first time in Tallinn?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and how many days you have to explore the city?
I have 1 week, so I have plenty of days.
Yeah, I arrived on Thursday and I'm leaving Monday morning.
Okay, so you have a little bit of time,
Yes.
so I hope you will have a pleasant stay and even more pleasant festival experience.
Thank you.
So for starters, maybe you as a director, and you can also from the actress point of view, tell me, just to summarize, what is the story about? What is the film A Yard of Jackals about?
It's about a man that starts hearing things from the next door, from the next house, and it's screams and violence, and he doesn't know what's going on. And with his friends, that's the character of Blanca, they start recording what's going on because they want to denounce it to the world. That's it. It's set on the 70s in Chile, under the dictatorship.
So it's like kind of rather a thriller type
Yes,
of
a
film.
psychological thriller with some dreamy scenarios and stuff like that.
Okay.
Well, yeah, actually it's back in 1975 it's set up. So it's like everybody in Chile will know what this is about, right? What this violence is coming from, because they had a lot of clandestine torture houses that would take over any house, and start bringing people there and get them tortured. But we cannot see any of this in the film. We just hear it, and that's where the terror comes out from.
Okay, but it's very interesting, quite, I don't know, yeah, as you said, it's thriller, so it brings up emotions. So was there like any kind of personal experience or event that prompted you to create the story, or where did this idea, the inspiration, come from?
It comes from, well, I made a short film when I was back at the university. When you finish the career, you have to make a short film, a thesis film. And I started investigating about that subject, and I read from one person that had those kind of neighbors back in the 70s. And it was just one line. It wasn't a story per se. So I started imagining about that man, what he went through, and I got together with the author of that book. It was another story. Okay, and I started investigating, and the story was coming from that.
Like imagining what this man was going through.
Yes, besides living in a paired house, you start hearing things from people next door. It's like living in an apartment. When you go through the hall, you start hearing a lot of things of other people, and that's always been interesting to me. So I kind of mix all of that, and I come with this story.
Okay, and in this storyline, what kind of role do you have? What is your character? What is like her, I don't know, motivation? What does she want in the
What she
movie?
wants. Well, she's a friend of the main character, who's the one who starts hearing things, and she's like planning to leave the country because her partner is in exilement in France, and he's a filmmaker, a documentary filmmaker, and so he left all his equipment in Chile, and she's like keeping it until whenever she is able to move to France. So she has all this sound recording things, from that time. So when she finds out what's going on next door, she's like, okay, I'm leaving. I'm going to France. So we have to register this and tell the world about it, because this was information that during the dictatorship in Chile was like nobody would talk about it. A lot of people didn't know about it, and people who knew, it's like you had to be very quiet because everything was censored and you would be in danger. So the only way to let people know what was happening in Chile was just taking stuff, out of the country. So that's her motivation. She wants to tell the world what's happening in Chile.
She's the courage of the film.
Yeah,
She's
the one with the courage.
Yes.
Okay, but what was the biggest challenge with creating this character, or like playing, or?
Well, the first challenge is that this occurs in 1975. I was born in 1974, so so that was a big challenge, and we had some references, some films from that time that he told me to watch, and how differently we spoke. I mean, not only words that we used, but also the way women spoke and men spoke was totally different, and a totally different intonation. The way we would refer to other people was different than men, so that was very interesting to do. And then something else is like, just like the audience, is experiencing this horror by hearing the things that the main character is hearing. Also, I had to do some things like react to something that the main character was telling me as a secret, so you cannot hear anything of that. And neither had I. We didn't have information of what he was telling me, but then with my face, the audience has to learn what's going on. So that was very challenging because, the camera's like here and you have to express that but not be too expressive.
Yes, it's very physical.
Yeah.
And at the same time very emotional, the way they move in the space and in the composition of the frame. Every eyebrow, it's very important in this frame. So they were the main composition, their faces.
Okay, so maybe you already answered it, but for you as a director, what was the biggest challenge? The same thing you mentioned, or something else?
Biggest challenge, I think the only thing I keep thinking every day was to be creative, because it's an independent film. So every day is a challenge, and you have to be creative every day, because you're not going to be able to shoot your full schedule every day. So you have to be reinventing the script. You have to know your story and rewrite it and keep inventing, so the soul of the movie is intact. So I think that's the most challenging part, is to keep creative along the whole process. Because the shooting is some part, but then comes the editing, then the music, the color grading, and in every stage, the movie can fall apart. So you have to keep it. And now that we are showing to the world, it's more important than ever, because now you have to show it, you have to create interest. And that's why these spaces, this festival is very important too. You can communicate it to the audience.
Okay, but question for both of you. Do you have some kind of favorite scene or favorite scene or favorite like picture from the movie?
Yes, I have many.
Okay, so
one of these moments I like very much. It's near the opening of the film, and they are going to the countryside. The both characters, Laura and Raúl, they're their names, and they start using the equipment sound, and it's a directional microphone, and they point it to the river, to a cigarette, and you can only hear those things, and it plays with the sound design of movie making in general. I think that scene it's very nice because of the relationship between them two. It's like sound bound, and I like very much that scene.
Okay. And do you also have a favorite scene?
I have a favorite scene, and it's a scene that's actually towards the end of the film, and it's when they're together, and it's the first time that the guys that live next door or that are occupying the house next door are with them. So everybody gets in the set. It was like one of the hardest scenes to do, but I think it really, you really got it. You really approached it well, and it's like this one moment that, these two main characters are super scared because they can get killed any minute. And they... Should I spoil this? Should I say what you're doing? They hug. They're kind of like moving, hugging, and they're very scared. But as time goes by, they start getting less scared, and there's a minute of tenderness, between them, that they look at each other, and then I cannot say what happens next.
It's near the climactic moment of the film.
Of course. But as we have you here as an actress of the film, maybe you can tell us, what was the collaboration with the director like?
Oh, it was great. I had collaborated before with the producer of the film, so that's how they contacted me. I didn't know this kid, but he said he's a former editor, right? So when I read the script, which was very complicated, I mean, it was really fun and had a lot of rhythm, and I really loved it. But then by the end, I was getting kind of confused. But then I could tell that he had it like so clearly on his head how this was going to be edited, that made me trust him, for the first time. So it was a pretty cool collaboration.
Thank you. But you as a director, how did you find your actors? I mean, did you already knew some names and you knew I want them to be in my film, or you held castings, or how did this process went for you? Well, the
two main characters, I knew more or less who I wanted to work, and I knew that I need some very experienced and talented actors. Blanca is very famous in Chile.
And so is Nestor.
And Nestor, both main characters. And I knew that I need that ground base. And I edited a film that Blanca starred, so I knew how she worked between shots and between scenes. And that was very important to me, actors that really became the character. So I had reference from both of them. And I knew I wanted to work with actors that have a method and really take themselves in this journey.
That are committed.
Yes, that's very important, because schedules in these kind of movies are very intense. And so you have to really understand character. You have to become them. You don't only act as them, you became them. So, and both of them had a really good chemistry. So
we've worked together in the past with Nestor Cantillana.
Yes, he's the main character.
Yeah.
So the chemistry between the two of them was a really important factor to the casting.
Okay, but the film definitely has many symbols or details. Are there any, specific little subtle detail that you think is very important when talking about understanding the film that audience may not notice or may, understand wrong, or,
Well, the main one is not be looking for answers in the film in respect about morality or something like that, because you're going to be a little confused. The movie doesn't talk about good or wrong in that way. And the other way, you should look with caution the miniatures and different elements, visual elements around the movie. For example, the movie starts with a miniature and a map behind. And that map, I want to resemble a face with an open mouth. And the movie is full of details about the story if you look otherwise than the main focus, that's the human, the actors. The story is being told between little details around the rooms, the setups. So I think that's an important factor to be looking.
Okay, as you mentioned, there is no good or wrong. So are there not good or bad characters also in your movie? Or can you categorize it in some way? Because that's something that thrives audience. They find somebody to not hate, but it happens that there are good characters and bad characters.
Yeah.
So how is it about
I don't know
film?
if they are good or bad characters. They make good or bad actions. We only see a fraction of their lifetime, for example. We don't know what they did before or after. So it's very interesting to me how that describes a person in a character in a film. So we resemble with them through their actions that we understand as good or bad. But I think the movie tries to transcend that of defining a person for good or bad. I think they make good actions or bad actions.
Yeah, a good example of this is a character played by Juan Cano, another Chilean actor. He, for the people who are going to watch the film or who have already watched it, is the young man with a scar on his face. And he doesn't talk so much in the film. And he's working with, what we can call the bad guys, right? But at some point, like in the middle of the film or maybe towards the end, you really don't know how to feel about this character. It's like, okay, he's collaborating with the wrong people, but there's something about him that starts getting a little more empathetic. Just the way he looks or just the way he communicates with his eyes, because he doesn't say much.
Yes.
That's interesting.
And yes, and I took some elements from, that's a real case. It's inspired by a real character in real life who worked as a, how you say, a mosito? Like a butler? I don't know, an assistant for this kind of type of man in there. And for example, he did a documentary a couple of years ago, and he told the truth about some horrific acts.
Yeah, the documentary El Mosito,
Sí,
El Mosito by Marcela Said. And yeah, that's the story of this one guy that served the military that were, doing the torture.
Well, it was interesting to me that he thought he was a good person by acknowledging that the things that he did, but I don't know if that transformed you in a good person. So that's what I like to the film, that they change some actions and it puts you on test how you feel about these people.
Okay, but filmmaking definitely is a long process with very many details, very many people involved. So during the process, did you learn something new about yourselves? Like you as an actress and you as a director. Did you learn or maybe discover something about yourself?
Well, I still feel like I'm making the film. Because, for example, we still have the premiere and all that, so we still keep creating. And I want to change a couple of things. But
are you really still going to change a couple of things? Oh my god!
Adjust a little mix things.
Then we're gonna go around. Like, which version did you watch?
What I discovered about myself making the film, that I really love movies, cinema. I don't know. I think that's my biggest thing. When I end up doing this, I really like cinema. So I don't know. That's it.
Yeah, it's only good to hear, and it's totally logical. So
yes, because it puts you. It really tests you. You have to be really committed, year after year. We've been doing this film for 3 years almost. So the writing, the shooting, the editing, and all that, it takes you a really important part of your life, and it's going to keep with you every day from now on. So you have to really love cinema, and I think I really love it.
Okay, and for you?
What did I discover about myself? I don't know. I guess that I had not done a film in a while when we shot that one. And also it was like right after the pandemic, so like everything had stopped. So I felt like very scared about like doing stuff that I felt that I wasn't trained enough, right? Like difficult scenes, emotionally difficult. But then also the pandemic was like a big opportunity to acquire more skills. I started writing, I did a couple of courses, I learned new things about emotional processes, like different techniques, right, in acting. So what I learned about myself is that I could do them. I could like get over those challenges, I guess. But I think in every project it happens that. But there are some films that you do, like for instance, I've done several films with another director in Chile, like many films. And the third film I did with him, I always felt that I knew exactly what was going on, and it was kind of easy acting for me. It's really wrong to say it, but yeah, it's like I was there, I knew exactly what was going on, I knew exactly what I had to do, and it would work. But here, it's like I really did not know anything, and I felt really like very challenging. I didn't know whether I was really going to get what he wanted, because and we didn't know each other, so I guess that was the hardest thing. Yeah, first time we worked together.
Okay, and last but not least, in maybe one sentence, okay, maybe not in one sentence, but as short as you can, what is the main message of the film?
I think to communicate, to really think as another person, to put yourself in the place of another human being, you know, it's something that we don't have to lose. I think nowadays, especially with social media, it's about me. And I think you have to remember that it's a community constantly. You know, it's a very important thing to me, for good or bad. You have to remember that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, to me, it's pretty much the same, I would say, and it's really nice to know that it relates a lot to the kind of work we actors do, because we have to do that all the time, put ourselves in somebody else's shoes, which is actually like a good translation for empathy. So I think it's a very dark film, but then it has a very bright end in a weird way.
I don't know.
It's not bright. It's not happy. It's not a happy end, but I think it brings some hope. It's not a message. It brings a lot of questions, but I think it is bright.
I don't know.
In a way.
I don't know. It's bright, but humans are complicated. You know, we're not black and white, and that's
but humans are humans, and that doesn't make us, I don't know, beasts.
Okay, thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. We have uncovered so much interesting in such a short time. So thank you for coming in today. I hope you have a pleasant festival experience, and I wish all the best for you and for your film.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
And for you, dear friends of Black Nights Film Festival, thank you for turning to PÖFF TV, and we hope to see you back exactly next time with new guests in the studio. Thank you for watching us.